Hello there, I'm Blackbright, broadcasting out of the UK, and I was just wanted to talk to you about the situation with Dominic Cummings. Yes, we've heard it till it's coming out of our ears, and I just wanted to give a view on it because I'm not quite sure how relevant or how important it is to keep bringing it up, unless it's a distraction. Sometimes when I see the news perpetuate the same story over and over again and give it too much focus, I wonder, what are they trying to distract us from? And similarly with Dominic Cummings, I wonder what they are trying to distract us from. Now, for those of you who don't know who Dominic Cummings is, he's the aide of Boris Johnson. He decided, even though he was infected with the coronavirus, his wife was infected with the coronavirus, to take their child 250 miles to Durham to see his parents. He claimed that he wanted his parents to look after the child should he and his wife become incapacitated. What I don't understand is why you would risk your child catching coronavirus from the both of you in a 250-mile drive to your parents. Not only that, for if your child caught the coronavirus during the journey, to risk your parents getting it, who are elderly. I don't understand why an individual would put their parents and their child at risk like that unless they know something we don't know. Is the coronavirus as deadly as they say it is? Or is there something else going on that makes it deadly for some people and not for others? And is that the reason why Dominic Cummings felt it was okay to travel all that way to see his parents and his sister? Because when you think of it, I cannot imagine anyone who would risk taking that journey with their child in a confined car, knowing that they'd have the potential of infecting their parents. So I'm there wondering, I wonder if it's really, this coronavirus is really that contagious, is really that serious, or is it because he feels he's rich and white and is therefore exempt from it being as strong a hold as it would? But there again, they claim that Boris Johnson had it and he had it quite seriously. So did he have it quite seriously? Because if he did, would Dominic Cummings be worried about it? I would have thought after seeing what happened to Boris Johnson, he'd be even more cautious. But oh no, he trumps off, drives all that way up to Durham, comes all the way back to London and takes another trip, another 250-mile trip back to Durham. And so it makes us wonder, I mean, we all are human. And maybe he just wanted to see his parents and he's using his child as an excuse. The thought of maybe not being able to see his parents, during the lockdown, maybe it was too much for him. But then it does make you wonder about Boris Johnson's response and Michael Gove saying your family is important and he did the right thing using his instincts. Look how many people who have tried to connect with their pet, with their family, especially under Article 8, especially those people who are being deported and they're trying to fight for their rights to keep their family together, to stay with their children, and they're told to use Zoom, and they're told to use FaceTime, and they're told to use Skype to keep their family together. So Dominic Cummings, he could have just as well FaceTimed his parents or Skyped or Zoomed his parents, but he's given the reason that he needed childcare for his son, his 4-year-old son. So we could argue that those people who are detainees or who are on the verge of being deported or who have been deported, being told that they can use FaceTime to connect with their family, we could assume that that is the same thing. I just don't understand why there's one rule for one and one rule for another. But then I should understand. We have a section of people who believe that they're above the law. We have a section of people for whom the law is different. And I mean, I understand even with the coronavirus penalties, 54% of the fines, coronavirus fines and penalties, have been awarded to blacks and minority ethnics. Now, what a surprise. Not. It's not a surprise at all. It's all about, they're talking about disproportionality. And they're talking, 1 minute it's about the NHS service and the next minute it's about the fines. And sometimes I wonder if they're just trying to stir the pot, trying to get our backs up. I mean, why put that on the headlines of the paper? And I always get concerned when headlines have got to do with race or ethnic minorities or religion. I'm always wary, because what is the message they're trying to perpetuate? What are they trying to tell the people? What message are they conjuring up? And it is, sometimes it's just agitation. It's provocative. And so, yes, I understand that that could be well the case. But I understand it's like 6,000 something to white people and 2,000 something to black and minority ethnics. But it's still proportionately more. So we've seen black people on the streets. We've seen them dancing in close proximity, because black people in particular love their raves. And, you know, if they can't have a rave in a club, they have the rave in the street. And yes, it can be inconsiderate because you're blaring out boxes. You're not giving any consideration to the neighbours. And so, yes, it causes problems. But to the degree, what I'm saying is that some of these penalty notices are justified. It'd be different if the police were dragging people out of the house and giving them penalty notices. But when you see a lot of people on the street, I'm not saying that there's not racism. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's not racial profiling. I'm not saying that there's no police that are racist. All I'm saying is that when they're putting that in the news as a front page, it's provocative. And all I'm saying is that in certain cases, it's justified that black and minority ethnics get a penalty notice, as it is with white people. That's all I'm saying. But what I am also saying is that the fact that they are getting the penalty notices for a lesser fine, for a lesser sin, in quotes, than Dominic Cummings, who drove 250 miles to see his parents. That's when you have to kind of think, you know, where is the fairness? Where is the, what kind of justice is that? I don't even think he got a fine. I don't even think Dominic Cummings got a fine for breaching the lockdown. And that's where it becomes unfair, because you've got all of these people who have been fined for breaching the lockdown, and yet Dominic Cummings can drive 250 miles and he's not fined. In fact, he's applauded. In fact, he's told he's honest and he used his instinct and what he did was legal and correct. That's what he's told. And yet so many of us, when it came to situations with the family, we sacrificed seeing our parents. We sacrificed our children seeing their grandparents. We sacrificed certain child-minding conditions or situations. Those were sacrificed because Boris Johnson said stay at home. He didn't say stay at home and use your instinct if you need to go 250 miles and see your parents. He didn't say that. It was clear as day, if he didn't say anything else clear, because most of his messages were very unclear. But one thing that was clear was stay at home, save the NHS and save lives. So I guess that only applies to the little people, the people who may be less fortunate, and the people who are rich and famous and are well-to-do, they're exempt from those kind of regulations. And you would have thought that Dominic Cummings, after seeing Boris Johnson go down, that he would have been scared. But he's not scared. So what does that mean? Does that mean Boris Johnson wasn't as seriously ill as we were led to believe? I mean, we don't know. I just believe that if the coronavirus was as serious as they made out it was, I cannot imagine that Dominic Cummings would put his family at risk. I don't believe that. So all I can say is that we do not know why people do what they do, and we cannot point a finger. I think during the lockdown we've all done something that maybe we shouldn't have done. So I just think the two other politicians that resigned, I think they should be reinstated. And yeah, I think that is all. Michael Gove and Boris Johnson said caring for your wife and child is not a crime. You have to follow your instincts. So Dominic Cummings is applauded for taking that forbidden journey, even though he took it twice. He didn't just take it once, you know. So I think I am going to stop it there. But one thing we have to be careful. Let's not get caught up in the hype. Let's not allow ourselves to perpetuate this victim mentality that they would love us to have, to make us feel as though we are the victims. So when you're seeing all of these headlines, ask yourself, why are they putting those on the headlines? It's not as if they care. Do they really care that blacks and minority ethnics are being fined more than anyone else? I don't think so. It's just news, and I think it's provocative news. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.